Good afternoon, everybody. How's the camera up, Shorty?
Minor adjustment. There you go.
There
Now
you go.
it's cutting off your head, so I don't know. I think they want to get a platform for me to stand on. Where's my short sisters? You can relate.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, just saying.
Hey.
Welcome in. We are so excited to be on day 2.
Yeah.
You guys loved this design.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see them all heading out the door to everybody's house.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we're all just ready for spring.
I think we are.
And it's a super cute design.
Yeah.
So
I love the colors.
We're
and
actually
stuff.
should take it off the wall so that we
Let
can
me
show it again. But all right. So as we're getting that off the wall, I see a couple people put a 2 in the comments. Deb, you know I'm going to pick on this short person. She said, don't pick on short people. So I saw a couple people put the number 2 in the comments, meaning you're a hoop sister or hoop mister, and you know the drill. So if that's not you, put a number 1. If you're new around here, put a number 1. We'll say hello to you. And I'm seeing like someone said it's snowing where they are. It's beautiful in Ohio.
It really is nice. It was kind of rainy, but I think the sun's coming out now. I'm trying to look out the window.
Yeah.
So this is our seed time quilt. Has so many fun gardening themed blocks in it and a gorgeous border. And the design also comes with a bonus border. Can you hold that? And we'll try and fake it here. There, with a little finger sticking out. But you can see if you wanted to put an additional border on it, that this border also comes with your download.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So it actually comes no matter how you order it,
Right.
whether you do a USB or a digital download, put it in your cart and the border will pop in automatically, which is really nice. Okay. Don't worry, Mary. I'm sure you're not the only one. All right. So yesterday, what did we do yesterday?
Yesterday we made, I'll show you which block it is in here. Yesterday, we had fun making this little bird block here. It says scatter seeds of kindness. And the most fun thing about it is the tail feathers here. It looks cute as a bird without the tail feathers, but when you add the fringe tail feathers there, it just it makes it. Makes it, and it's so fun. And everybody will wonder how you did that with thread.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that's what we did yesterday. And you want me to hang it back up, do you think?
No, I get it.
Okay. So yesterday, that's what we did. Now today, if you are a number 2, you've seen this demonstration probably a lot of times, but it's so important because I feel like if you know how to use your embroidery machine, you're like, cool, I know how to do that part.
Yeah.
But for someone who might be new,
right.
The most intimidating part to me would be, okay, I have these blocks.
Yep.
Now what do I do to turn it into a quilt? So
our designs are kind of a crossover from quilting and embroidery. So we kind of like to show you both ends. Yesterday we did the quilt and the hoop, the block, so you could see the embroidery part of it. Today we're going to do what is probably some of you quilters are just slightly more familiar with. And we are going to show you how to use our special tool, our embroidery block trimmer by George 3.0 to trim the bulk from your seams. I'm going to show you the anchor point pinning technique that helps keep things in place until you can get the seam sewn. And then we're going to actually sew it. Sew the seam, talk about pressing, and just how to join the entire quilt together. I'll kind of go over the assembly instructions that come with your download or your USB. And so we'll take your questions, and Aubrey's going to talk about pricing and a whole bunch of other stuff.
And I think Sue is absolutely right. So we do this demo quite frequently because it's important, but it's always, I agree. Its review is always good.
It is always good.
And then I also saw it's always a great refresher watching you do this demo. Which is great too. And then Linda's a shorty pie too.
Oh, hey, Linda, you're taller than I am by 1.5 inches.
And if you are new around here, she's my mom, so I'm allowed to tease her, and she teases me, so it's all in good fun.
Yep, that's right.
We can't help it if we're short or tall. I can't help that I'm a giant and she's little.
I don't know how you got that way.
Yeah. Okay. And then here's another question that I'm sure we will get to from Mary asking about the backing. So we will talk about that too.
Yeah.
And I agree, Sue. Sometimes even if you've seen it, something clicks different. So I am excited for this.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
sometimes if Sarah teaches it or Linda teaches it or I teach it, we may say things or do things just slightly differently or give you a different, I guess, take on it. And sometimes it's helpful to see it from different people. So
yes. Okay. Yeah. The other thing we want you to know before we get diving into this demo. Yeah, so someone said I'm 5'2", I'm 5'1", so you're tall to some people.
I am, Carol. I would hover over you. That's very rare.
You should come to the open house. We'll get a picture.
Yes, with all the short people.
I hate that I look the hugest in all the photos. By the way, I'd much rather be fun size. But anyways, back on track.
Okay, sorry.
So just so you know, obviously, if you're a number 2, you already know this as well. But we do have Miss Nina Gladden. She is Mrs. I always say Miss when I talk about some of it. She's a Mrs. Nina Gladden. She's our customer experience manager. She's in the comments right now to help you there. And then also she is available to help you over email and phone.
I saw that, Gloria. She's 4'11".
I think my daughter might be taller than Gloria.
She's taller than me. What are you talking about?
Oh, she is. Yeah, okay. Anyways, don't feel like if there's going to be a pop quiz, we will pop her contact information up at the end, but just know that we are here to help you. So if something does not get answered, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. So also, before we dive into the demo for today, I just want to re-highlight the quilt details. I think this one, there's so many things to love about it. Yeah. I really think that when you do that mix of block sizes, it's fun. It adds a little bit of different variety.
It does. I like the different, rather than a complete grid pattern, it's fun to have the different sizes and orientations. Oh, Aubrey found another fun comment. Someone posted on Facebook that short people stop growing because they reach perfection. Oh, see,
there you go. Well,
you reached perfection because you stopped growing. It just took you long.
I'm still a work in progress. I will say I'm the oldest of 3 daughters as well. So I was so amazing that they had to have more children. But then Sarah, my youngest sister, says they finally got the perfect one. So yeah. And then Barbara says Nina is our Obi-Wan. So if you're like Star Wars, my husband would like
right.
That. Okay.
And Marie is also 4'11". So
you guys are too funny today. I'm very distracted by these fun comments. Yep. Okay, so back to the reason you're here, which is the quilt. The mix of block sizes makes it really fun, and still at the same time, you made it so that they have to have a 5x7 and not something bigger. So 5x7 is pretty standard hoop size. It is. So if you have at least a 5x7 hoop, you can do this project. It's also multi-formatted. Yep,
absolutely.
I gotta admit, one time I was making these slides for a presentation and I said to the girls in the office, I was like, I don't know if I need to put that on here. Like, is that a big deal? And they were all like, yes, it's a big deal. Do you know how many people have 3 or 4 machines and different? Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's a big deal. I get it. So obviously I'm not the one that sews around here. But anyways, it is multi-formatted. So if you are a multi-brand machine owner, you can have multiple things going on at one time. And then, of course, the thing that really sets us apart is that you and your sister Linda had the foresight to figure out how to include the quilting in all of our designs.
Right. I grew up quilting before I started embroidering, and I can always remember reading the patterns and having to cut the fabric to perfection in the absolute perfect 1/4 inch seam. And then at the end of it, you get it all put together and all you have is a quilt top and they say quilt is desired. And that was the point where I'm like, huh? So we made it a
You're
point.
Like, what do I desire?
What do I desire? And that was, I mean, this might prove my age, but that was before long arm quilters were around. And but with ours, the quilting's already included. So each of the blocks in our seed time quilt, the quilting's all just slightly different. And it just makes it very interesting when you're watching it stitch out too. You don't get the same thing over and over, and it's all custom done for each particular block, which is a lot of fun. You were giggling. You saw something
I was
funny.
giggling because Mary said she grew to perfection in 6th grade. And then you were perfect. That's funny. Our other sister is a corporate, girl boss. She's like amazing. I think they're asking about Megan.
Oh, Megan. Okay. I'm thinking your sister or my sister. Yes.
Yeah.
The other sister. Yes.
The other sister.
She's Miss Corporate America.
She's awesome, but she does not do this.
She's missing out on all the fun.
And then Judith says 3 or 4 machines.
There you go.
Whatever. I got 5 or 6.
There you go.
Dang.
You got to get them all going at once.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. All righty. So let's get into the demo.
Okay.
I saw another question go by real quick. Hold on. Okay. I did see a question, and I saw this yesterday too, about how wide this extra border is.
You know, I was going to mention that. There was a slide that said the finished size of that. I don't remember what that
25.5 by 25.5 is the main quilt finish size.
So if we add the additional border is 3.5 inches. So if you take 25, what was it, 25 by 25?
25.5.
Add 7 inches to that. I think that's 32. Should be about 32.5.
Okay.
And
thank you.
Sarah will probably run in here and correct me. She's our math girl here.
She's our resident mathlete. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time to get into the trim pin join.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so this is the block that we stitched yesterday. And you can see we have all our fringe in there. So what you need to do in order to sew this to the next block. So for instance, if I was going to sew it to this block, one of the first things I'd probably want to do is I need to remove the bulk from the seam, as we have done on this particular block. So a couple ways you could do it. You could take a scissors before we had our trimmer by George, and you would cut right along that seam line, which is very dangerous because you could slice right into where your seam needs to be sewn.
And then you got to redo the whole block.
Right. And that is never good. The same if you just tried a regular quilting ruler and try to get it lined up as close as you can, you still may have the problem with your rotary cutter nicking that fabric. So what we have done is we have this little invention called the Trimmer by George 3.0, invented by a man named George. And it has this crimped metal edge you can see on here. And this crimped metal edge is what the metal edge here is what you're going to run your rotary cutter against. And this is going to also protect the fabric. It'll be on the inside of here. So, and also because this is raised up a little bit, you need to have a 60 millimeter rotary cutter, not a 45. And it does say that right on the Trimmer by George, just to remind you. But you take that metal edge, and what you do is, if whatever side of your quilt block that will be joined to another block, you're going to use the metal edge. If this happened to be the binding side, the edge of your quilt where you're going to put binding, you would use the ruler side and cut that 1/4 inch from the basting stitch, so you have something to sew your binding to. But I'm going to show you how to use the trimmer side with the metal edge. We're going to pretend that all 4 of these sides will be joined to another block. So I'm just going to lift up my fabric and take my ruler just like this, slide it in so it meets that seam, that basting stitch, and lay it down. And then I like to just shimmy it in there. We say that's our language here, shimmy. Shimmy it in there, and then do a gentle tug on your battleizer to get that metal edge as close to the basting stitch as you can. And then with the 60 millimeter rotary cutter, you use that metal edge to trim against. And this piece that we cut off, you can take this piece and frankenbat it to another piece, which just means you put the edges together and you zigzag stitch them together, and then you can rehoop this rather than just having it be waste and having to throw that away. And since I trimmed this side, I don't have a lot of battleizer over here, but if you did have more and you wanted to save that to do your Franken batting, I would do this side next. So then you can just, again, take that metal edge, shimmy it in there and lay it down. Whoops, see now I pulled too hard. You have to be careful of that. Shimmy it in there, do a gentle tug to get it nice and close. And I always do a visual. And I'm glad I mentioned that because I did have a little fabric peeking out there. And we have like the white on top, the white battleizer, but you just need to make sure no fabric is peeking out. And then you are good to go to trim that away. And again, if this was a bigger piece, you can take it and Franken bat it to the piece that you cut off over on the other side. And now we're gonna do the ends. So again, I lift it up, shimmy it in there, do a gentle tug so it's nice and tight, do a visual to make sure no fabric is peeking out, and then you can trim that away. And we'll do this other side. And again, this removes the bulk from your seam. That way, when you're sewing this block to another block, you don't have all those thicknesses and your quilt will lay nice and flat. All right, so now we have all of that. We have a lot of fabric going on right there. So you can see where the battleizer has been trimmed and it's not going to be a whole bunch of bulk in the seam. And then I'm going to take the ruler side of the trimmer by George and I'm going to align the 1/4 inch mark up with the edge of your block. And I'm going to lay it right down there like that. It's all lined up. And then I'm going to trim that 1/4 inch. And Linda mentioned something, and I'm going to bring it up too, is that sometimes if you want to make it 3/8 inch, you can do that. And I'll tell you why. If you're doing a regular quilt block, you do have to have everything cut the exact size. Time for a new blade. But with our technique, I'll show you when we start to pin this together, is you're pinning and stitching right on that basting stitch. So whether you have a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch of a seam, either one, whatever your preference is. Sometimes it's easier with a little bit wider to press it. So just something else to keep in mind. And again, I'm lining up the 1/4 inch mark on my ruler with that basting stitch and then trimming the fabric away. And one more side. Line it up and trim it away. Okay, so there is our block. There's the back. You can see where the battleizer is now gone. And we have it trimmed up nice and close to that basting stitch. So now we are ready to take this block and stitch it to another block. So I have a cute little dill block over here. I'm trying to decide if I want to go over here or this way. I suppose it really does not matter. One of the things to take a look at when you go to pin your blocks together is, are there any match points? So what a match point is that as this block flows over to the next one, is there anything we need to match? Sometimes there's quilting you need to match, but in our seed time, there's not. The quilting is slightly different in each one. Sometimes, for instance, if you had 2 of these blocks that both had this, that were both a seed packet. Oh, Aubrey just gave me an example. You'd have your match point would be your corners in all blocks, but in this case, you'd also have a match point where your fabrics are. So those would be the match points when I'm talking about that. That's what I mean. So your blocks, you would get them laid out the way you want them to. And I think, what I'm going to do, Aubrey, I'm going to just, before I show them the pinning, I also wanted to show you, this is the document that comes with the design, and it's called your layout and assembly document. And basically it's going to show you, you have section A, section B, C, and D, and it gives you the file name and it shows you visually of where each block is. So for instance, here you would sew block A1 to A4, A2 to A3, and then you would take these two and seam them together right there. And it's pretty much the same way all the way through the quilt. And we walk you through exactly what I just said. So A1 to A4, so A2 to A3, and then sew those two together. So we show you step by step how to do that. And then when you have your border blocks, you can add your top border block and then your side border block. So we walk you through exactly how to stitch this, how to lay it out and how to stitch it together. And this is the layout also for your section B, because we don't have square blocks that are all exactly the same. They're slightly different sizes. So we guide you in how to actually sew those together. And there's your section C. And again, each section, you're also adding your border blocks as you go.
I just love this one. And you can see that's where obviously that's where your match point would be. I just love how it flows into the next one.
Right.
So cute.
So this one, you would think that, oh, we got to sew those together because they match. However, the sizes don't match. So we tell you to sew A1 or C1 to C2 and C3 to C4. And then you can sew that section to this section. And so we guide you through exactly what to do first, what to do second, and all that wonderful stuff. And then you can add your borders as you go, or you can add your borders after you get your sections sewn together. So you will sew these together, and then these two halves together, and add your border later if you choose to. And I think somebody had already asked about backing fabric, backing this. This is going to be a one-piece backing. And what you do, and we tell you exactly too what to do in here. To cut a 29.5-inch square piece of fabric, and you're going to lay it right side down on your cutting table. And then you're going to take your quilt. The blue is representative of your backing fabric. And then you take your quilt and you center it with the right side up. And I like to pin in the center of each block, because what you're going to do is you're going to stitch in the ditch and all those seams. And if you have your basting pin in the center of the block rather than over a seam, you don't have to take that out as you sew. It's already out of the way. We like to use, you can use either, I would say you can use a straight stitch, which is fine for either method. However, if you use wool or poly batting in your design, we recommend a serpentine stitch, which is one that meanders back and forth like that. And the reason for that is it helps, rather than having the block like this, those little flutter, it tends to find that wool a little. So that's how you do. You lay your backing fabric with the right side on the cutting table, your quilt with the right side up, put a pin in each one, serpentine or straight stitch in the ditch, in every single ditch. And then I also like to lengthen my straight stitch and just do just a basting stitch around the entire thing. And then I would cut my backing fabric even, and then you can put your binding on it. So now that you kind of get like the layout idea and how they're sewn together, let me show you our anchor pinning technique and how to sew each of these blocks together. And again, if I sew these two side by side, my match point is the corners. There's really no other match point on this, but I probably will put 2 additional pins in here. So we're going to take these and lay them right sides together. And then I'm going to grab a pin. I'm picky on which pin. So you can see in the corner, you can see where that corner stitch is. And I like to put my pin right through that corner stitch. And oh man, it's too bad this is white on white, but that's the corner of my block. And I'm going to find the corner of the other block as well. And I'm just going to put my pin in there, and I'm going to leave it pointing straight forward. Hopefully you guys can see it's just sticking out like that. I'm going to leave it there. What I am not going to do is take it and then put it back in there, because what that does is it takes my 2 blocks and it shifts the alignment of that basting stitch. So now I'm going to go over to the other corner and do the exact same thing. This is my other match point. I do this in my match point areas first. So there's that corner, and there is the second corner. So both of these have the pins sticking straight out. Now I can have my match points lined up with the basting stitch. Everything's lined up perfectly. And then I can take another pin, and I'm going to put this one, I'm going to put through the seam allowance, just the 2 pieces of fabric. And then I can put that back through the block. And this anchor pin that's in here, keeps everything from shifting, and it keeps that basting stitch lined up perfectly. So I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to put this pin through just the seam allowance, and then I can bring it back through both of those blocks. And again, I think I'm going to put a couple more pins in here. I will pin one, and I'm pinning straight through the basting stitch. But then I'm going to open this up and peek to make sure it hit the basting stitch on the other side, and it did. So again, this anchor pin stays in there temporarily, and then I'll put my regular pin in through the seam allowance and then back through both blocks, and then I can remove my anchor pin. So I'm going to do one more pin here. This will save you lots of headaches if you use this technique. If you've never tried it before, I really challenge you to do it. I think you will really like it. So I am ready to go to the sewing machine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch right on that basting stitch. So I'm going to head over there. Okay, so let's talk about machine setup. You can choose a neutral color thread that will look good with whatever your background fabric is, and you will put that in the needle and the bobbin. And then I also have, the machine I have has a dual walking foot. So I have my dual walking foot on there. I personally like the open toe, but not everybody does. So if you have a choice of a different, like a closed toe foot, you can use that as well. And basically just make sure you have it set up properly with the right foot. And I have to push a button to engage the dual walking foot on my machine. If your machine doesn't have a dual walking foot, just put your regular walking foot on there and you will be good to go. So another thing I like to do is when I begin sewing, I begin pretty much at that corner. And then I do a few back stitches and then I go forward. And I just realized there's no foot control. I always forget to bring that in here because Sarah does not sew with a foot control. Everybody knows this now. But I'm basically going to start right in the corner, do a few 2-3 back stitches, and then come forward. And I never, ever run over the needle or the pins that are in there. I always take them out first. Okay, so I'm just going to do a back stitch, a couple of them. And then I'm going to remove this pin, and I'm going to be stitching right. I'm going to change the speed here. You'll be stitching right on top that basting stitch. And now it's approaching the other pin. I'm going to slide that out. You can stop the machine if you want to stop to take your pins out. Go ahead and just stop stitching. And I'm taking another pin out. I'm almost at the end. And when I get to the end, I like to do another back stitch and then forward and sew off the fabric. And so there we have it. Now, I wish I would have brought one of our quilt samples in here. Yesterday, I think I'll come over by you, Aubrey. So yesterday, if you remember correctly, yesterday, we used water-soluble thread anytime it was around the outer edge of our block. And the reason for that is if I did not happen to sew on that basting stitch exactly perfectly, and of course this one I did it perfect, but especially is noticeable on darker fabric, is that basting stitch might show through on the front. And if you have darker fabric and that water-soluble thread is showing, or whatever you use to tack it down on the edge is showing, if it's not water-soluble, then you need your seam ripper to take it out. If it is, you just get it wet and it dissolves and you move on. So here you have, we have our blocks sewn together. As far as pressing, if you have wool, is there a strip stick around here?
No.
Okay.
Ever since we moved in here, I feel like we can't find anything.
Check this drawer. I know there's one on my ironing table. Maybe someone can bring me one. But let's just talk about pressing. I like to press to one side, but once in a while, and I like to alternate. If you have rows, I like to alternate this row, press that way, and this one press that direction. Once in a while, you will run into a block that maybe has a little more fabric bulk in there. And if it just wants to, if you want to press it open, there's really no rules. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to grade you. You do whatever you're comfortable with doing. But what I like about doing alternate rows, pressing in alternating directions, is that they too, even with the thickness of doing this in the hoop, they tend to lock in place and it's easier to match all those. But, and I will tell you, can you go in on my cutting or where my iron is and grab a strip stick? Mm-hmm. If you had chosen to use wool in here, if you remember the instructions for wool is you had to press the edges, wool or the poly, either one. So if you did use wool on top of your battleizer for a little bit more dimension, one of the things to keep in mind is that when you do press your seam, that if you just took the iron and pressed the seam like this, you would end up flattening that wool. So what we have also on our website, this is called the strip stick. There it is. And it's basically a wooden dowel, half of a wooden dowel that's covered and padded. And you place this under your block seam right over the top of that. And then when you press it with your iron, you're pressing just the seam. So that's another very valuable tool to have in your sewing room. So there you have it. We pinned, we trimmed, we pinned, we joined, we talked about layout and assembly of the quilt. Anyone have any questions?
So here's a fun question. Sharon wants to know what size the registration gift block is. Could it be used in the quilt?
Yes.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
So if you want to substitute this for one of the other ones, absolutely, you go ahead and do it.
That's cool.
And it does, I mean, purple makes it screen pansy. Maybe another color might look like another type of flower. I'm not a botanist, so I don't know. But yeah, you can absolutely use that as a substitute.
Okay. And then I did see a question about sizing. Does this come in 2 sizes? It does not. It comes in just this size. And within that quilt, there are 2 size blocks that come together.
Yeah. But this will make it look a little bigger. And this is your bonus that will come with it. If you wanted to add yet another border to it, you can certainly do that if you wanted it to be a little bigger.
And we did some mathing. I didn't. Nobody wants me to do their math for them. And found this was a question that came up yesterday. This is a reason too why I love live workshops, because we can figure out what you want to know more about and we can come talk about it. But if you are going to add the optional additional border, you're going to need, we said, 1.5 yards of backing fabric. I know that was a question that came up yesterday.
Well, and I'm going to clarify what you said is you would need 5/8 of a yard for the additional border. If you want your backing to be a different color, then you would need 7/8 of a yard. So 5/8 for the additional border, 7/8 for this. If you want it to be the same fabric, you can get 1.5 yards.
Okay. And that brings me to the next point. The kits are sold out. We do not have more, but if you're new and you've never ordered from us before, you do get a fabric and thread key. You can pick your own fabrics. You can go shopping for fabrics. You can check your stash for fabrics. So we tell you what you need for that.
And I will say also that if you have your backing fabric figured out and you have a decent stash, or you just want to go fat quarter shopping, this is a great quilt for that as well.
Okay. Good. All right. The other thing I want to mention is the registration gift. I've seen some comments and heard from Nina that we've had a little bit of an uptick in people saying they didn't receive. So I actually talked to Janet just a minute ago, and we are going to include the link to just download this for free in the recap email following the live. So you will get an email today if you're on our email list. And I know Nina's probably got like 17 links getting ready to post, and this is not one of them. So sorry, Nina. But if you're not on our email list, go to the website. We'll see if Nina can drop the link to join our email list. It's under the Learn More tab on the website. So this is going to go out in an email with the replays from today and yesterday, so that if you missed it, then you can still get it. Okay.
Yep. And make sure you're on that email list. Make sure you're a member of the VIP group. Invite your friends. And that way you guys can be stitching together.
Yes. So no worries. We'll make sure you get it, whether you check your email or just email Nina at hoopsisters.com. All right. So as we kind of wrap up here today, another great demo. I liked going through the instructions so people can see exactly what they're going to get too. So here's the deal. The workshops are always a great time to order, because if you order 2 or more things, you're going to save 10% on both of those things. And so it'll take that $45 design down to $40.50, keeping in mind the quilting is all included. It's multi-formatted, beautiful. So just know that our battleizer is something that is in the new arrivals tab that this would apply towards to the 10%, as well as the trimmer. We do have some exclusions to that promotion, and that would be things like thread, the strip stick, the Dream Puff, anything that's not technically a Hoop Sisters product. We have non-Hoop Sisters products on there because we love them and recommend them and talk about them in our instructions, but they're not included in the 10% off. The other thing that's ending tonight at midnight, that 10%, but also free shipping on orders of $99 or more that are shipping within the contiguous US. That also goes away at midnight. And I always say, don't wait till midnight when you want to be in bed, but some of y'all are shopping late at night.
I woke up this morning and it was like 5:45, and I saw a couple orders. I'm like, who is up this early in the morning
and shopping?
Maybe they were night owls in a different time zone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I know sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this person was up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
No judgment.
No.
Maybe you're like me and sometimes you just can't sleep. Okay. And then that border, I want to talk about again how you're going to get that extra border, because it's not on the USB or in the download for the design. It's an extra, it's a bonus. But it is something that pops into your cart automatically, $0, when you put this design Seed Time in your cart. So, and normally the bonuses is just during the workshop, but we talked about leaving it there just so that, because it's so pretty and it goes so nice with it. So there you go. That's how you can get that, just by ordering the design, and that will pop in your cart as well. So are you in? Who's in? Who's going to be making this quilt? We're going to drop the order link in the comments so that if you didn't snag it yesterday, you can snag it today. We'd love to have you making this quilt. And also be sure to jump in our VIP Facebook group if you're not yet there, because you can post your progress pics. You can post your finished quilt and all that good stuff.
I love it when all of you send us pictures and you do a post to show us what you're working on. It's just awesome.
Yes, I do too. Okay. So yes, the design is still available. It will remain available, but if you shop today and add one more thing from that new arrivals category, so 2 things from that, it could be the trimmer, the battleizer, what else? The hoop scissors. We also have other designs in there. So that kind of stuff, if you add 2 or more things to your cart today, you'd save 10%, but the design will remain on the website. Okay, we're also getting ready to, as we close the show here, we're getting ready to do the giveaway. So if you have not yet typed the word trim, now is the best time to do that.
We have questions after that too?
I think we might answer. Well, no, we have like 2 that I starred that I think we should answer.
Okay.
But let's do this giveaway real quick, and then we'll do those last couple questions. Okay. Anybody else want to play? Oh, there we go. I always like it when there's 1 or 2 more that jump in there. Okay. So our day 2 winner.
$50.
$50 in Hoop Sisters store credit goes to
Pam. And congratulations, Pam. That is exciting. You will have $50 of store credit in your account.
Yes.
You need to contact Nina. And I think Aubrey's probably got some information to put up there.
There you
go. Contact Nina within 5 days at nina@hoopsisters.com and tell her that you are the winner of the Seed Time Day 2 $50 free store credit.
Congratulations. Okay, couple questions I had starred. First, this is not a question, but this was something helpful. Nina popped up there. The approximate finish size of this design with the added border bonus is 32.5 by 32.5 for anyone who is wanting to know that.
Hopefully she checked my math in my head.
Okay. And then the other one, here was the other one.
Could blocks be placed so it could be a table runner? That is a really good question. I believe that they can. Absolutely. So there's
post it in our VIP group. So we know how you do
it. Can we do this over here? And I'll just kind of like throw just a couple ideas out there. So this is, you can see that there's basically 4 sections. I would probably, one way you could do it is take one section and just line them up like this. And maybe even alternate the direction that the blocks are going. So if you're whatever side of the table on, you can still see it. The other thing you could do also is maybe take the blocks that are all the same size and line those up and maybe do 2 rows of it for a table runner. So like this would be one section that you could put on your table runner. Then this would be another section. You'd put it right next to it and maybe just turn it the other way so it could be seen from the other side of the table. So I think that's a fabulous idea. I really do. So yeah, do it and post it in the VIP group.
We would love to see it. Okay, I think that is it. I think pretty much everything else we have answered.
Awesome.
So we will drop that shopping link one more time. Don't forget the 10%, the free shipping both end tonight, which is Wednesday, February 18th at midnight Eastern time. So,
and this will be
in the recap email.
Recap email. So watch for that.
All right. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank
See you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.